So yeah, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Liz, you can kick it off.
Sure. Hi there. My name is Liz Colts. I'm the owner of the Anxious Adult LLC, which is a coaching and consulting company that helps adults manage the anxieties of business and life. And I'm a mom of two, and I'm currently living in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Cool. How old are your kids?
They are 9 and 11. So I am well past all the postpartum stage of everything, but still lives with me.
Gotcha. All right, Karen, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
You're muted.
Well, while she's figuring it out, I'll go ahead.
She's gonna go out and come back in. Yeah.
So while she's figuring that out, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. So my name is Kelly. I own a business called The Spoiled Writer. Actually just changed the name on my Instagram, then my other social medias, and legally to The Spoiled Coach. I used to be a copywriter for business owners, and now I am a business coach, a life coach, and I'm working on my health coach certification. Okay. Health is really which is why I'm moderating this panel, but health is really where my passion is. I just happen to be good at business. And I think the life coaching skills kind of just help. It helps in all areas of life, like in your business, your clients, but also just communicating better. And that's why I went and got that, just to help me be a better communicator. So that's who I am. And I just let Karen back in. So hopefully.
Hello?
Yay!
Okay, This is my first hop-in event, so I'm learning as I'm going. Okay, hi everybody, I'm Karen Scott. I am a motivational speaker. I also do contracts. That's my background, is in federal contracts. And my oldest is 4, and my youngest is 8 months. So I'm right in the trenches, and I'm looking forward to this panel.
Awesome. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. So I only have one, and she just turned 9 months.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I've only got one. All right, so let's go ahead and kick it off. I wrote a couple of questions to kind of facilitate the conversation. If you are watching us and you want to drop into the chat, feel free to do so. So our first question is, when did you first realize that you had postpartum depression or anxiety or psychosis?
Well, my first one, I had depression, and it was the grief of the loss of being independent. I am not a homebody, and so when my son came along, he's a 4-year-old. It really hit me that it takes a lot longer to do stuff, to get out the house, and I just, for a lot of reasons, I grieved not being able to grab my stuff and go to Walmart, or grab my stuff and go to Target. And so just this new baby, this new experience, I felt like having the baby clip my wings, and I know that wasn't it, but that was the depression talking to me, and I just was like, and you know, in the newborn phase, you barely get any sleep. So all of this is going on, and physiologically, I had no sleep, so I was a ball of goo. And I'm grateful that I had my mother who can help me chat with those emotions. So.
Yeah, I definitely hear you there. How having a child, it doesn't. I think nothing prepares you for that. Where the loss of independence, I'd be like, okay, I need to go to Target, so I have to plan like 4 hours ahead, like right now, and then and have everything packed, and then as soon as then we can go, and nothing can happen in between. Yes, it makes it really, really difficult. That was one of the harder things for me to reconcile as well. I first realized that. I didn't realize I had postpartum depression until I was about 5 months pregnant with my second. So my first daughter was about 15 months old. And because I hid it, looking back, I could see that like the first night in the hospital after I was probably in some trouble, because I remember like crying and thinking like, why did we do this to ourselves? Why? And I hid anything that I was feeling for, 15 months. And then it just got to when I was pregnant again, the emotions of all of it, of being pregnant and not treating the postpartum depression and anxiety that I had. It really came to a head with my, when I was pregnant with my second daughter.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot because it's scary because you don't know what, like, you'd expect everything to be all happy and roses and all that stuff. Like, nobody talks about this stuff, which is why I talk about it constantly because I never want people to feel alone about it,
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we might have lost Kelly.
Oh, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
No. I can hear you.
Yes. Oh, maybe it's my internet connection. But if you can hear me, I'll just keep going. So I realized I had postpartum depression, and it kind of took me a few weeks. Like, I thought, oh, my hormones are just coming down because that's what they told me at the hospital. And it was like weeks and weeks and weeks later. And I'm like, why do I feel like just a lag? Like, I feel like a lag. I didn't want to do anything. I was avoiding leaving the house. I was I am like an introvert in a lot of scenarios, but I'm never like, no, I don't want to see anybody ever. Like, leave me alone. So I kind of went into a deeper shell where I didn't want to do anything. Like, my boyfriend, the father to my daughter, he would try to take me to lunch, take me to breakfast, and I'm like, I don't eat in public. I don't want to see anybody else. I don't want to. So it took me a long time to realize that that's what it was. And I think when I went to one of my checkups, and they have you take that little paper test that's like, do you have postpartum depression? And when I realized I'm lying on every single one of these questions, I'm like, because you don't ever want it to be like, to be a victim. I mean, you're not a victim, but in society, when women speak up and we say something is wrong with us, that's the title that we're given.
Absolutely.
So it took me a while, but that's what it was for me. So, how do you feel about medication while pregnant? Medication post-pregnancy for postpartum depression? What are your thoughts around that?
At first, so I was just starting my third trimester when I started to seek help for my untreated postpartum depression, and my psychiatrist had wanted to put me on. She's like, we want to put you on Prozac because that's been around the longest. It's not shown to have any side effects. And it was twofold because I was worried that it would affect the baby, but then I was also the stigma of having medication. Like, nothing's really wrong with me. This is just a thing, but I ultimately did start taking medication in the third trimester of my pregnancy, and I am still on it today. So my youngest daughter is 9, and I've never come off it. For a while, it was always, I'm going to be off it soon. It was like something I was going to try to beat. And I'm like, I'll get over this. It's fine for now. So it did take me a while to accept that I have to be on this forever. It could be, I don't know if it is just the postpartum or a combination of just my mental health, throughout my life as well. Like, so I'm not, not everybody has to be on medication all the time, but I do, because I've tried to like wean down or come off it over the years, and it never works. It ends up being bad. So, and I'm to the point now where I don't even think about it. It's just a pill I take every day, and that's what it is. So I am a big proponent, of it. For me, it works for me, but I also know that it is not the solution for everybody. So I think that is the tricky part of any mental health scenario, is you have to figure out what works for you.
I am diagnosed with bipolar, and before we really started planning, I really was talking to my psychiatrist about the effects of the Seroquel. Seroquel helps with bipolar and schizophrenia and all kind of wonderful things. So having that conversation with the doctors, and they never wanted to put it in my hands. Because if they say yay or nay, I could sue them if it goes wrong. So they never wanted to put the ball. They always tossed it back to me as my responsibility to have to make a decision. And so Facebook groups help me to sort out some of my feelings. I talk to women who were on Seroquel or on antipsychotics to see what happened to their child. Was their child delayed in any way? Did it affect their growth? Did it, I wanted to get as much information as possible. And a lot of the women who were on Seroquel long term, they didn't have any issues in terms of the complications with the baby. So that made me more secure to go ahead and have this second child. And listen, just like in the airplane, they say, take care of you before you take care of anybody else. The better you are as a mama, taking care of your baby, the better the baby will be. And so I know we have the stigma around pills, but if that's what you need to stay where you need to be as best as possible in terms of your mood, in terms of your anxiety, in terms of your sleep. For me, it's sleep. I'm pretty cool, but I can go days without feeling tired. And so that's what gets me into a lot of trouble. And so, you're going to feel the feelings, but take the medication that you need, because the stronger you are, the stronger your baby is. And my daughter came out, she was a big baby because Seroquel affects your appetite. It increases your appetite. But she has lost enough of the weight. She's only in the 60th percentile in terms of weight and height. So she's right where she needs to be. She's advanced. She's sitting up. She's much more advanced than my son when I didn't have any medication. So that's really funny. So I really would encourage anyone listening, follow your doctor's orders, okay? We don't want you in the psych ward or having a baby too early or anything. Be obedient. Okay, it is tricky if you have any type of mental health concerns, but do what you need to do so you can be strong, like I said, to bring forth this life.
Yeah, any medication, but I do feel like I'm a person who I trust a professional. Like, if this is what you do today, and you went to school for this, you're telling me this is what you recommend, then I'm open to, that. So good. So have you ever hired a therapist or a life coach post-pregnancy to help you move forward? And what was that experience like? And I actually want to add into this, anything in that realm, therapist, life coach, journaling, any like specific strategy that you use to help you kind of move forward.
I use a therapist because really just to monitor my symptoms. It turns out, working with my psychologist, I didn't need as much medication after giving birth as I used during the pregnancy. And so we needed to monitor my emotions, how I'm feeling, all that stuff. But once we got out of like the 6-month mark, I was pretty good. My medication stabilized, all that type of stuff. So that's how I use my resources.
Yeah, for me, like I started therapy before I gave birth to my second daughter, and I continued it shortly thereafter because I really needed to work through all these things, like emotions and feelings that I was just hiding and ignoring for the first year and a half that my daughter was born, because I was depressed and anxious, during that time, and I was just ignoring it and pretending everything was fine. So I had a lot to work through. So for a while, I was in therapy after my second daughter was born to work through a lot of those issues of like the crisis mode of being really depressed and really anxious and all that. But as I got better, I relied a lot on, like you had said Facebook groups before with the medication, like it was other women sharing their stories of how they struggled with mental illness and postpartum depression that made me feel like less of a monster. And even though I was in therapy and I was doing those things, it just helped to hear other people talking candidly about it. And I've got so I'm on medication. I do med check-ins with my psychiatrist every quarter type thing. I'm stable now. But I have gone back to therapy over the years, given what's going on, like with my life. And it's not necessarily postpartum related, but the kids are always part of my life. Everything is always, it's all part of your life. So it always ties back to it. And I know I still have guilt feelings sometimes that like, did I hurt my daughter because I was so depressed when she was so young and all those things. And, there things just come up to work through. But so therapy and, and just trying to balance and really like lower expectations has been something that I've tried to do over the years of just like, motherhood is messy. Let it be messy. It's okay. I'm not a Pinterest mom. I'm never gonna be. So let's expectations. My kids are happy and loved, and that is, the key.
Yeah, I did. I had been going to therapy, and I had just stopped right before I got pregnant because I'm a very emotional being. So I didn't go to therapy while I was pregnant because I was like, if I go to therapy on top of these hormones, I'm just going to be a crying hot mess all day. So I made a decision not to go. But then afterwards, when I realized that I was having some postpartum depression, I did do a little bit of therapy. And I did that because it's to have someone that you can talk to that's not biased and not like, and I know people don't do it on purpose, but they're not like writing off your emotions and saying like, oh, it'll be fine, or it'll go away, or you know what I mean? Like people just think like, we're just gonna sweep it under the rug. And I'm like, that's not why I'm telling you. So it's just nice to have someone who is non-biased, who can kind of help me, because therapists are also really good, and life coaches are good with this too, at asking you provoking questions that help you kind of dig to find the root of where all of your emotions are coming from. And so just having someone for that reason is very major. So it helped me a lot. And now I just journal because it's kind of set up that way where it's asking you those intentional questions to kind of help you just process things. It's interesting what you guys said about Facebook groups though, because I never went Facebook groups. Like I didn't even think about that, but I imagine that would have been very helpful as well.
Yeah, it's been awesome and weird. Like I have so many of these connections that I've had for years now of women I've never actually met in person. And I've had but we've just connected in the different groups we've been in. Some I have met in person through various like conferences and things, but it's been wonderful just to have just somebody that has gone through the same thing, even if they're across the country and I'll never meet, but it's nice to know that you're not alone. And I think that is a big piece of all of this.
Yes. Okay. What is your, oh no, that's the same question basically. How did your partner or family react to you saying that you had postpartum depression or anxiety?
I think at first, my family was shocked because I think I was such a good liar. I was hiding it forever. So, and I was always one that I could do everything. Everything's fine. I'm very type A. So the initial reaction is, oh my God, like shock. But then the follow-up to that was I had more support than I could even imagine. I'm at loss for words for how much my family rallied around me and were there for me in way, because I was never comfortable asking for help. So they would just be there, and it was really, really nice to just know that these people were there, even though I was at my worst, I was at my lowest, I was, not even contributing to the household or anything, but they really rallied around me. And I imagine it was extremely stressful for my husband and, everyone else, involved, but, I was fortunate that I had, very, very amazing support.
I did not have the word. I didn't even want to admit that I was depressed. I thought it was kind of normal for me to be kind of, but my mom helped me to really articulate that I'm, kind of grieving the loss of, like I said, my independence and that loss of my freedom. And those of you who are struggling with postpartum, figure out what, sometimes it's the postpartum, the loss of the babe, the loss of no longer gestating, but maybe you have an issue with the father of your child that's causing the depression, or like I said, the loss of independence, or maybe even the loss of income. We go through a lot giving forth life. Maybe you had to step down from your job in order to take care of this baby. So figure out what else is causing the depression that's connected to the baby. And so having support, somebody outside of you to watch you and make sure you don't go under, is very, very critical. So if you are pregnant, please try and get a support team around you, because when you're in it, you don't really know you're going through, but somebody from the outside can notice that you're walking a little slower, you're being a little bit more pessimistic, you're not as warm to the baby right away, all that stuff, and they can help you, and they can stand in the gap when you need more rest, when you need more help, when you need X, Y, and Z.
I love how you describe it as the grieving, like figuring out something that you're grieving. I've never thought of it like that, but that is so true. There's so many different aspects of it. I'm like, that just opened a whole line of thinking for me. So this is great.
I don't think I ever said to my mom, I have it, but moms kind of know things. So like, I remember there was a point where continuously kept saying to me, you could come over here and hang out with us if you want to. And I'm like, I really don't want to be next to y'all. But that was saying that because that was her way of saying, like, you can come over here.
Right.
With the baby, relax, we'll take care of her. You worry about you. So I think that was her way of saying it. My partner, he's like not the best under high stress situations. So when I told him, because I told him, he was like, what do we need to do? Do we need to go to the doctor? Did you take the quiz again? Like, he was in panic mode. And I was like, I probably should not have told you, or I should have told you, don't panic when I tell you this, because he is like going into superhero mode. So that's how he is. So that's pretty much how he reacted. But it was nice to know that even though it was very spastic, it was nice to know that he took it seriously.
Right. Mm-hmm.
A really big part of for me, of the healing that I needed to do was feeling like I was being heard. And so
that's good.
That helped me a lot. All right, so this is my last question. And then I also want you guys to add whatever else you want to let people know, because I'm sure this will be watched in the replay. Did you have a postpartum care plan for yourself? If not, do you wish you had? This is something that I just recently discovered, that there are people that actually, because I'm kind of type A too, Liz, but I don't go as far as saying, if this happens to me, here's the plan for that. Not in this scenario, I didn't anyway.
Right.
Do you wish you would have had type of a preparation plan or something in place that would have made that transition from hospital to home easier, like emotionally easier?
I did not have a plan. And we kind of made it up as we went along from day to day. But my care plan just included my mother. She took on a lot of responsibilities. She's retired, so she has all the time in the world. But having someone else, even though I grieved the loss of my independence, just being able to go to Target by myself because she would watch the baby did a wonder for me, So I would say, if you have a care plan, who's going to be there? What are the action steps? If there's anything physical that's going on, they need to know any medications you're taking, so they can talk to a doctor or nurse on your behalf. All that's important if you're trying to have a postpartum care plan.
Did she spend a night like at your house?
She was with me for 3 months. So I was just like heaven.
That would be amazing.
That's nice.
Right? Yeah, I did not have a care. I was like, I can do this. I'll figure it out. I know how to do everything, even though I have no idea. And going into the birth of my second daughter, I did have, because I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. I was on medication. So I went into the second pregnancy or the second birth, and I was like, I am on these meds. I have these issues. I am not breastfeeding. I'm not doing anything, because I didn't want the nurses in the hospital either to be like, you should be breastfeeding. Why aren't you doing this? I wanted it to be like, no, because I have all this added like stress on me and whatever. But even given all that, I still ended up hospitalized when my second daughter was 3 months old. I was hospitalized in a psych ward. I ended up developing postpartum psychosis. I was starting to hear voices, things like that. So it was like, even though, so I had a care plan, like, yeah, but it wasn't, like things can still happen. So, so I started therapy again after. So I think the care plan that I did have in place of continuing my meds, making sure everybody was fully aware of everything going on in my life, and continuing therapy, let it bad actually happened, because it was at my therapist appointment that I admitted that I was hiding my intrusive thoughts that I was having, and she was like, I don't think this is safe. I don't think, and that's so I had that in place, and I think that that's one of the biggest takeaways that is just letting everybody in your life know about it. It's hard sometimes, but then, because like you both have said, like people know, they'll notice things about you that just aren't right, and you won't either admit it yourself or notice it about yourself.
Yes, true. I have a plan per se, because even though I was a first-time mom and I am a control freak, everything I read said that your plan wouldn't go according to plan. So I didn't bother writing like an aftercare plan. The only preparation I really did was I cooked like a week ahead of time. So that was really the only thing I did, because I knew for sure I didn't want to cook, and I knew exactly what I wanted to eat afterwards. And I'm very picky. So I was like, what y'all are not going to do is make me angry. So a lot of things when I was pregnant, let me give a disclaimer. I had a lot of things while I was pregnant that I couldn't eat that I loved eating. And so I was ready. I can't even eat ice cream. Like, so I had a lot of specific things like that. But I didn't have anything that was like a super specific aftercare plan. I think going into my next pregnancy, what I will do is probably like maybe schedule my therapy sessions to start a little bit sooner afterward. And so that way I'm not having to worry about scheduling that, or I'm not talking myself out of going, because I will talk myself out of going if it's not scheduled. I'll be like,
I'm fine.
I'm fine. Meanwhile, the whole house is burning down.
Okay.
That's me. Yeah, so I think I would definitely do that. And yeah, my mom didn't stay with me, but I don't know if that would even be a good idea, because sometimes our personalities kind of like butt heads, and it's like, let's weigh the options here.
As more stress,
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, yeah, and maybe even telling people, because I'm kind of like you, Liz, when you said I don't ask for help. Even if I need it, I don't want to ask for help.
Yes.
I'm never going to ask for anything. So if you think that I need something, you can
just do it.
Or just drop it.
Just do it. Yeah. Just start washing my dishes, because I'm not going to say, please do that for me.
Right. Exactly. So yeah. So I think those things would probably have made the transition a little easier. Do you guys have anything else that you want to leave a message to anyone who may be dealing with postpartum depression and anxiety, or maybe currently experiencing a difficult pregnancy? Could be pregnant now.
I know.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
First off, you are having a baby is a wonderful experience, but it really is a traumatizing experience. And you have to be fully prepared on the front end, on the back end. First off, take care of yourself, okay? The baby will be fine if you're fine, okay? So please take care of yourself. Follow the doctor's orders. Do what you need to do. Write. Journal now if you're carrying. My mental health medication triggered gestational diabetes, and I was going to the doctors 3 times a week. So between the postpartum, but my second pregnancy was the more difficult one, and you have to take it one day at a time. And me going to the doctor so often led to me needing more psych medication. So it was like a circle. Mm-hmm. So I really want to encourage anybody who's, first off, pregnant, hang in there. We are with you. We're praying with you. Your thoughts are, we send you kind regards, because it's not an easy cakewalk. At the shower, you look wonderful and you take pictures, but bringing this life to pass is pulling everything out of you. And so I really encourage you, if you are dealing with any type of, because sometimes postpartum can lead to other types of depression. And I really would like you guys to get a care team, get a psychiatrist, get a therapist, so you can talk out your emotions. Because like I said, bringing forth life is very traumatizing, okay? It's overwhelming. Your life will never be the same. And so I'm having a care plan, having a care team, and practicing self-care, a bubble bath, going to the nail salon, doing things that you like will really help your moods if you're, being dealt a hard one with this pregnancy. So I encourage all the ladies and all the men who love them to take care of yourself and whatever stage of the process you're in.
Excellent. Yeah, that's all excellent advice. And I would just want to leave saying it gets better. It does. Yes. Karen had said, having a baby is traumatic. And even now, I think people talk more about the harder sides of motherhood. There are still things that even your mom would be like, oh yeah, I didn't tell you about that. There are still so many things about it that are hard and scary and whatever. So you are not alone. It does get better. So hold on, ask for help. I know it's the hardest thing. And I'm the first to admit it is the hardest thing ever to ask for help, but do it. Say something, say it's not right, so that the people in your life around you can rally around you and you can get the help that you need. And I guess from the farther perspective, since my kids are a little bit older, they aren't damaged. And it's actually, I speak very openly with my kids now about my ongoing mental health, and it helps with them as well. So I think that at this point, my one daughter has been in therapy a number of times because she has anxiety. So we've opened up this communication about how to deal with your mental health and take care of yourself from a very young age. So she's learning it very early on, where it took me till I was 28, 29 to even acknowledge what I was feeling. So just hold on, mamas. It is hard. We love you. Everyone in the world, every mama in the world is there right with you. You are not alone. And just seek any kind of support wherever you can. It doesn't have to be somebody that you know. It can be virtual. Reach out, find your tribe, Mm-hmm. Good luck, mamas, too.
Good luck. We lost the host.
We did. I know. I'm sure she wanted to say some parting words or anything like that. Hopefully, I bet you she'll jump back in. We'll have to just give her a second.
So was it just your depression or did you have physical difficulties in terms of your pregnancies?
My pregnancies were very fine. I didn't.
Oh,
yes, it was.
It's emotional.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was very healthy physically. I did all the things the doctor said. I didn't eat all the things I wasn't supposed to, all that stuff. I still gained weight and all that because, whatever. And, but I was physically, and I didn't have a traumatic birth either. I normal labor, and everything, but nothing traumatic happened, because that also, some people have traumatic incidents during birth and the process of that, which also can help to trigger, postpartum depression. So I think it was just a culmination of, I know I have a family history of it. I know that I had depressive episodes in the past that were never treated. So I think it was just all this culmination and then my type A on top of it of like, I'll just fix this problem by myself. I can be super mom and here we go. And it can just do it. And that's, I guess those myths are the dangerous ones of like, being able to do it all, having it all, like you feed into it, tells you, so you think you have to do it. And it's overrated.
Yeah. Sometimes having a baby was very humbling, having to ask for help, having to be vulnerable, that was difficult for me as well. So my mom she kind of takes over anyway. So it was good to have her, but eventually she started withdrawing her support because she wanted me to be able to handle the baby by myself. So I appreciate her being able to transition in that way. So
those points were scary. Like I remember, so just even leaving the hospital, you're like, you let me leave? And then it's like when my husband went back to work, I was like, I have to be alone all day.
Right. I'm sure
you do get used to it. You do figure out, like, how do I change a diaper? Like, I don't know how this works.
Right. I didn't babysit as a child. I didn't do all that stuff. So changing a diaper, the first time I changed a diaper was when I had a baby. So I was like, okay.
And then before you know it, you can do it half asleep in the middle of the night.
Yeah, you're right about that. Go ahead, Kelly. We were just chit-chatting while you were.
No, you're fine. My internet is like doing its own thing today. It's doing its own thing. But yeah, I didn't have anything else to add. So I guess we can hang out in the other sessions that are remaining for the rest of the day and tomorrow. There's a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of great information.
Yeah, lots of good information. I'm probably going to go hang out in networking too for a little bit. But thank you guys for joining us. I'm so glad we're able to have this open conversation just to give this topic a voice and help other women with the things that we went through as well.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good afternoon, guys.